We're going to take a look at two-way prepositions today. And in order for us to take a look at two-way prepositions, we want to make sure that we understand what's happening. So let's take a look at some items here on the screen. Here is der Tisch, die Flasche, das Buch, der Bleistift. So I'm going to say some things, and I want you to pay attention as to what is happening when I say certain sentences and complete certain actions. I want you to pay attention to the verb that I use and the case. Pay attention to the nominative, the accusative, the dative case. What do you notice that happens? Ich stelle die Flasche auf den Tisch. Die Flasche ist auf dem Tisch. Die Flasche steht auf dem Tisch. Ich stelle die Flasche auf den Tisch. Die Flasche steht auf dem Tisch. Ich lege das Buch auf den Tisch. Das Buch liegt auf dem Tisch. Ich lege das Buch auf den Tisch. Das Buch liegt auf dem Tisch. Hier ist der Bleistift. Ich lege der Bleistift auf den Tisch. Ich lege der Bleistift auf den Tisch. Der Bleistift liegt auf dem Tisch. Der Bleistift liegt auf dem Tisch. So, did you notice the verbs that changed? Did you notice the cases? Ja? Stellen, stehen. Legen, liegen. Auf den Tisch, auf dem Tisch. Auf den Tisch, auf dem Tisch. And that's what we're going to be exploring today. What happens with certain prepositions? We're going to be looking at what are called the two-way or the Wechselpräpositionen, the changeable prepositions. So, things you already know. If you have my book, then Seite 80 is where we're at today. We already know, if you've been with me, these prepositions. We know of prepositions in which the object of the preposition, like if I say on the chair is the object of the preposition on. We know these that always take the accusative case. Durch, für, gegen, ohne, You'll want to make sure you write those down and include what they mean in English. So, durch, through, für, for, gegen, against, ohne, without, around. Gegen can also mean about when you're talking about time, like gegen 3 Uhr, around or about 3 o'clock. So those are accusative cases, typically learned in level 1. More recently, you may have looked at the dative prepositions. Maybe you remember the Daniel Bolt song. Da 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 da. Aus Ause bei Mitnachtzeit von zu. Aus Ause bei Mitnachtzeit von zu. And then gegenüber. But make sure you write these down and what they mean from your previous notes. And make sure you add those to the notes. So pause the video. Make sure you've written down these notes, these prepositions that always take the accusative case, and prepositions that always take the dative case, and include what they mean in English for your notes. So we're going to look at these right now. what do all of these look like? Let's go here for 1 second. All right. So we have the Way Prepositionen, the two-way prepositions that are sometimes accusative and sometimes dative. So we're going to look at them, and you're going to realize that if you know English, there are more prepositions in English than there are in German, because the German prepositions have multiple meanings. So let's look at the first two on our list, an and auf. I used auf in the samples at the beginning of this video. They both mean on. However, the way that they are used for on is very different. On is used for things that are a vertical surface, right? So something that's like up and down, like on the wall, on the refrigerator door. Auf is something that is horizontal, left to right. So that indicates more like on top of something. So in our previous samples in the video, it was very much like, hey, this is going to go on the table, meaning on top of the table, because the table had a horizontal surface. So, an, auf. Hinter means behind. In has two meanings because you can go into the room, like you're going into the room. You're not in the room yet. But now you are in the room. So in means in or into. Neben, next to, is probably the easiest translation to remember just because of the starting letters. Or it's beside you, which means the same thing in English. An, auf, hinter, in, neben. Now we have these two that usually pair pretty nicely together. So these two kind of pair, these two kind of pair. Über means over or above, can be across. We've already seen gegenüber in our dative. Unter means below or under. So über, unter, above and below. And there's two more. Vor, right? If you think of that, there's our before, or vor is in front of. And zwischen is between. Zwischen is between. An, auf, hinter, in, neben, über, unter, vor, zwischen. An, auf, hinter, in, neben, über, unter, vor, zwischen. An, auf, hinter, in, neben, über, unter, vor, zwischen. These are our two-way prepositions. So if you think about Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, hopefully that will help you remember it. An, auf, hinter, in, neben, über, unter, vor, zwischen. All right. Next up, I recommend the next video.